Hello, everybody. I'm here with Mirell Reyes, the president of Sea Cloud Cruises. Mirell, thank you so much for jumping on here and talking to me today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, so I have a lot I want to get to. I know you've reached about the 1 year mark at Sea Cloud Cruises, specifically building the North American market. I'm curious, you and your team, what milestones or what things are you most proud of?
Um, I think surviving. No, I'm just joking. It's been a fun ride, to say the least. But I have to say that when we started this, we didn't quite realize how much of a startup this is because, as many know, the Sea Cloud brand is around since 1979. So when we started in July, me, the first employee, and then my VP of sales, Kevin Smith, came on like just a week later. I think we were surprised by that. A lot of our collateral, like brochures, everything was in German. So within like 7 months, I had to produce two brochures, like one for 2024, right? And we were already mid 2023, and one for 2025. So there was a lot of things that we needed to put in place for the travel agent and literally going into educating the market. So I think the important part is that Kevin had been on the road nonstop. And the feedback we have been getting from travel agents, it's just amazing. And obviously, that's one of our priorities. We need our agents, we need the advisors, we need the consortia to spread the word because we're literally, like you said, building the North American market for our brand. And I think one big portion of that visibility, brand building, education was also Mike Hicks, who does our public relations. So we had so much press out there, and the feedback had just been overwhelming from the day we announced we are in the market until now. It's just, there's something about this product that is just very special.
Yeah, and I know I've heard a lot about it from travel advisors as well, particularly because you mentioned like the history that Sea Cloud has. But
Right.
I don't want to. I also want to ask you a little bit about the product too, because I know there are a lot of advisors familiar and there's some unfamiliar too. I was hoping you could talk to us a little bit about the Sea Cloud ship itself and what makes it so special and what's on the itinerary for it coming up.
Right. So just give you a little rundown, we actually have three vessels, right? We have the original Sea Cloud, which was built in 1931, and I'm going to dive in a little bit more into the Sea Cloud. And then we have the Sea Cloud 2, which was built in 2001, and then our latest edition, which is the Sea Cloud Spirit, which is kind of our biggest vessel, that came on in 2021. So from a size standpoint, the Sea Cloud has 64 passengers, the Sea Cloud 2, 94, and then our big ship, and again, big is relative, has 136 passengers. So we're still like in a very niche boutique kind of, position with those products. And I think one of the reasons I was so excited to take this role on was the Sea Cloud, because the legend of the ship, like, being built by Marjorie Merriweather Post back in 1931. And then there's a story about the Sea Cloud, which is called the Seven Lives, because this ship has been through it. I mean, from being a weather ship to, dictators to all that. And it's just so fascinating. And I couldn't wait to step on board. And I've been in this industry 23 years. Okay, that puts out I'm really old, but that's fine. And when I stepped on board in March with Kevin, and it was just, there's something about the ship that is so special. And then when you go down and you walk into those original cabins that had been restored to it's just like, it's breathtaking. And it's like, where am I? What is this? And that's obviously what sets us apart, because there's no other cruise line out there having a ship like that or the history.
Yeah, I know, and I completely understand what you're trying to say. Just walking into something that historic, you can just like feel the
Yeah,
history in the bones.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
completely. I completely
It's
understand it. Yeah.
it's very, very special. And I don't want to, that doesn't mean the other ships are not special, but you know, each ship has his own charm, obviously. So you touched on destination. So that's one other thing that sets us apart because we don't run typical cruise line schedules. So we don't really do 7-night rotations or like back to back for 40 nights. A lot of our
Yeah.
itineraries are one-offs. And
Oh,
being so small, which I mentioned earlier, also allows us to go more into like the tiny yacht port. So most of the time we are actually the biggest ship in port because everything else is just private yachts. And that makes it so beautiful and that makes our itinerary so creative because we can do things others can't do. I mean, we still sail out of Old Town Venice and Barcelona where no one else can go anymore, right? So every time I'm like on a panel or something and, you know, the question comes up, what differentiates you? And everyone is like kind of, you know, shaking to answer because a
yeah.
lot of those products are very similar, right? I'm there like, bring it on. I'm all here for it.
Yeah, I mean, just having your big ship, as you said, 136 passengers is just kind of unheard of for the industry. It's sort of a category unto itself. So I know,
Right.
and I know advisors, particularly the ones who have the premium, the luxury, the ultra luxury clients, that's the kind of experience they're looking for now. So I know they're gonna love hearing that. I know there's also been a number of partnerships and enrichment programs that you've launched over the last 12 months or so. I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about that, a little bit about what travel advisors should know about those.
Yeah, so we created a program which is called Cultivated Journeys. So what we're trying to do, aside from the fact that our itineraries are different and our destinations are special, we also try to enrich and add on things to our product. And what I mean by that, things need to make sense. So we try to bring lecturers on board. We try to have themes that work either with the destination or kind of whatever theme we set for that sailing. So we have a culinary series in San Juan where we bring local chefs on board and then cook, you know, original cuisine. So it's very important for us that whatever we do, there's like a meaning behind it, right? We have a cooperation with Steinway. We have a cooperation with the Hillwood Museum, which actually has like upcoming in February 2025 an exhibition about Meriwether Post. And we were very lucky because we were already able to see it prior and it's just fascinating. So we bring lecturers on board that talk about that. So it all kind of ties into history, into art, into culture, culinary. So we try to make sense with what we do.
Yeah, and again, that's another thing I hear from travelers is that they want an enriched vacation, they want a meaningful travel. So I imagine that sort of helps in that lane as
Right.
well. Yeah, so I a couple more questions before we wrap up. And the first one, I know again the last 12 months have probably been pretty crazy for you and your team. I do want to look towards 2025 though. I mean, what's coming in 2025? What are you most excited about to share with the industry and with the trade?
Yeah, I think what I'm most excited about is like increasing the size of our team because it has been overwhelming. And we have, you know, a great reservation team, an awesome marketing team. Like I said, we have Pierre, and obviously we have Kevin out there, but you know, we're adding on in the field, we're adding on in the office, and that will help us a lot and make us also more available to the travel advisors, you know. So if there you have events or you know anything, just we want to be there because we know how important it is to educate about our product. And I literally did a signature conference in LA and I haven't done that in a very, very long time. It was a regional conference and it was only Kevin and I, so we had to split and conquer, right? And it was so interesting and it was so nice and the feedback was so positive, but also like, yeah, we heard about you, kind of the sea cloud, we know the history, but what is it really about you guys, right? And one thing I haven't even touched on is like the traditional, you know, sailing, that the sails are still hoisted by hand, aside from the history, right? The destinations. And that's something no one else has to offer, because on our vessels, we need 22 crew members to climb up the mast, pull the sails down, which usually takes an hour, and the same way to pulling them up. And there's no buttons or anything you can just push. This is true sailing. And the moment you experience something like that, you're up on deck, the engines are off, and you're just moving with the power of the wind. It's just magical. That's why we call ourselves unicorns. A unicorn is like a legendary creature with magical power. So legendary because of the seagull, and the magical powers are all sails.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I know how special it is. I mean, you're the president, Mirell. I know how special it is for advisors to see you out and about. So hopefully that continues. Before we wrap up, I just want to sort of ask you if there's anything else travel advisors specifically should be aware of, any ways they should be informed about contacting you, anything else you want to add in.
Yeah. Please use Kevin Smith. He's out there for you. He's happy to go to any event, if it's regional, no matter how small it is. If we can do webinars or just, be part of it. We love you guys. We want to work with you guys, and we need you to spread the word and, come on board. We had hosted a lot of, advisors on board, because quite frankly, the moment you step on board, you get it. You understand what this is all about, and that's important to us. So, contact him, contact me, we're here for you.
Yeah. So the being a unicorn, the history, the sales, it all just seems like such a special product. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, Mirell, and I know I'll see you somewhere in the future out and about as well.
Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.